It may not be easy, but it seems simple enough to create a multifaceted protagonist with a goal, some flaws, certain strengths, and an antagonist. However, what about a collection of side characters who contain all of these great assets and costs? In this week's episode of Witch Hat Atelier, we get to see how a supporting character can become the hero of the story for a moment. With the forces of spells and the minds of prodigies, there's a quick scene showcasing the true potential of magic. Rounding it out, we also get some world building detailing the difference between what constitutes a miracle and magic. To start off, let's point out the focus of the episode. Ending off on a cliffhanger, the show may center around Coco and her fever, but it's Tarta who we're following and seeing his reaction to everything. Kifri is also present and uses his magic to ease some tensions, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. Anyhow, Tarta finds Coco supposedly alone in the hospital, with her illness getting worse and no one to help. Tarta's immediate first thought on how to help goes to giving Coco medicine, so he pulls out the drawer of herbs that the doctor has and tries to pull out the medicine she needs, but none of them are labeled. We saw the drawback of Silverwash eyes back in the Magic Stationers, but now it's more prominent in a time where Coco needs treatment. In this moment, we see the setbacks and difficulties that Tarta has had to face in his life. His dream was always to become a witch's apprentice, and thus a proper witch himself. However, due to seeing the world in values rather than hues, many did not have any expectations of him. According to Kifri, eyesight is essential in the work of a witch. Whether it's the vision blurring or Silverwash at hand, one has to have the capability in one manner or the other. We've seen how being observant has helped Coco in the past. We have Tarta's bane up till this point. This is an ailment that has decided so much of what Tarta can and can't do. He knows that it won't let him find the correct herb that Coco needs. Despite this, he still searches, and when he reaches one roadblock, he waits, observes, and finds another path through. As Kifri mentioned, Tarta is very observant, as one needs to be when you see the world in the way that he does. He uses the vapor bubble to reduce the medicines to their broken down component. There's still one last roadblock that he can't seem to cross the hedge of. Despite his strength of attentiveness, his inevitable flaw prevents him from achieving his goal. At this point, it wouldn't be strange to call his circumstances the antagonist. He is supposed to be the hero, but this series does something amazing. It recognizes that all heroes need their allies. Coco produces an inverse wall breaker spell so that instead of turning solids into dust, it turns dust into solids. After some trial and error, they come up with the perfect arrangement of sigils. There's exciting and worrying stuff in their experimentation, so we'll get into that a little later. For now, Tarta perfects the spell and is able to reproduce the powders into their solid form. He doesn't find it and goes to the storage room to search for more drawers. Now, I want to stew on this development for a bit. Like I mentioned at the beginning, it seems easy enough to allocate all the necessities for a fruitful protagonist. We need to actually discuss how Witch Hat Atelier does it though. For Coco, her immediate strength is her experience in tailoring and her passion for magic. One of them gives her a starting point in the power system, and the other is a necessity for developing a talent in it. Coco's weakness going into the show is definitely her lack of actual witch experience. She didn't live around magic at all, so it's something that takes getting used to. That weakness in itself, as well as the strength of passion, persuades the antagonist, the Brimcaps, to watch over her in preparation for their grand plan. Her goal in opposition of these people is to free her mother from her stone form. From the very beginning, everything is pretty well laid out. In the midst of it though, you have to consider the roadblocks they face. Do they take on the form of their weakness? Should they test their strengths or more so their character, which in Witch Hat tends to align with someone's morals or values? In the end, how does their character bring others to their side? There needs to be a push and pull while deliberately challenging the past, present, and future. The qualities that we come to love about our characters, especially our protagonist, comes from context. Their past dictates the stake set at the top of the cliff. Heroes rappel down the side, looking towards the abyss that presents the obstacle. There is something they must face in there, and all of these building blocks work together to present the story in front of us. I believe we see some of that nuance in Tarta during this episode. He isn't someone who initially gets friendly with our cast from our show, but he's kind enough enough to warrant the care of Coco. When she sees that she may be able to do something, not only to help herself, but as she dictated, help Tarta, it's because of Tarta's personality and character that Coco wants to do what magic does best: make others happy through what seemingly looks like miracles. It's through the authentic development of Tarta that we understand this logical segue of kindness and gestures between characters. Through this, they help each other overcome obstacles, and it forms a genuine community in this world of fiction. Another strange thing that we're reminded of in this episode is the lack of connection between witches and outsiders. Kifri is someone who faces this misunderstanding. Quite thoroughly beaten into us, the show wants us to know about the pact and its importance. One effect can be seen as Kifri goes to Qualifier in the city that is getting out of hand. The man assumes that everything can be fixed just like that. In the cleanup of the building, the man assumes that magic can make everything right again without any effort, as if magic and miracles are essentially interchangeable. How I've come to understand the dichotomy between the two is that the majority will think that one means the other. To the trained eye though, miracles are beyond anyone's reach to manufacture themselves. Everything we've seen in the series so far is the work of magic, though the work of these spells come pretty damn close to being a miracle, as can be seen with the spell that Coco and Tarta made together. Silverwash eyes were a trait that prevented Tarta from doing so much. Now as he approaches and explores the storage room for medicine, he can make heads and tails of what each herb is. Despite having this limitation that he's had to strictly adhere to, he's now past it. In this manner, it functions much like a medicine in our own lives, where surgeries can reverse qualities we have, yet it is entirely scientific through the research and trial and error we've done. That is another fact that we've come to understand about magic in this world. There are patterns to how you can produce a certain effect with your spell. In an earlier episode, Tetia recommended skewing the signs to the side to create a twisting effect on a wind spell. In this episode, we learned that inverting signs can reverse the results of the actual magic. There's these qualities and so much more about the power system that can only be discovered through trial and error. It doesn't take much thinking to imagine how circumstances got out of hand with the witches before the pact. Experimentation was on the rise as people were trying to create ways to help others. Sadly, there were also people who wanted to create an adverse effect on the population. The system we know about is so studied to the point of being a craft, yet it's so open-ended that viewers themselves have been articulating their own spells of man-made horrors. In this way, magic is no miracle. In the wrong hands, it is a weapon. Left to the right people, it could treat others with medicine more easily. However, you can't have one without the other. That is where the pact came in and how rules became so rigid. The guidelines seem simple, but how restricting in the poor fashion can it get? Coco keeps learning in every new adventure how magic is more complicated than just creating miracles out of thin air. As Coco gives us her monologue about how she may be able to treat her mother, we always have to wonder, would it work exactly as planned? Experimentation is the bane of the pact, but it's the solution to figuring out how to rescue Coco's mother. In this way, her very existence in the world of witches walks that fine line between supposed good and bad. It's no wonder why so many factions are out to get her. The true potential of magic comes in the form of the question, how can we make this happen? It was a wonderful question at one point, but then it had to be altered to, should we make this happen? Despite whatever lies certain witches may tell other people, magic is a powerful tool, almost too powerful. It's still a part of the world though, so someone has to make use of it. While magic could be harsh, it's too mean to toss it aside. Anyways, that's all from me. I don't want to go on too long about these subjects. Talking about them enough just to get the idea in your head is good for me. If you want to see a longer video about any of these subjects, let me know. Like always, thank you for watching. See you all later, you cool people.